Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I just wanted to tell you about the new ColourPop palette. This one is called Silver Lining. I am always excited for a new 9-pan palette to come out from ColourPop, especially the ones that aren't collabs, because these are usually my absolute favorite, which is a nice monochromatic 9-pan shadow. And this one absolutely delivers. It's called Silver Lining, and as you can see, all 9 pans are some shade of black or gray. I am in love with this one. You have 5 shimmer shades, and then 3 straight matte shades, and 1 matte shade that has some shimmer in it, which is really pretty. These are some of my favorites, are these shimmery matte shades. So when I was doing the look for today's video, I wanted it to be like this super pretty monochromatic smoky eye. And I did my best. Smoky eyes are not my top thing that I'm really good at, but I tried. So in the very inner corner, I used this kind of white shade Bright Side. And you can't really tell it from the next shade, which was Lucky Stars. And that's what the majority of that silver right there is. But I also used a little bit of this silver shade 999, and I wanted that to kind of blend into the black as I was going to add that. But I really feel like that was a very similar shade as well. 999 and Lucky Stars especially came off super similar on the eye. But when I went in and did some blending work with this shade, New Era, the black, then I felt like it kind of blended more, and you can kind of see where it goes from the bright silver to the mid silver, because of the way that that black blended in with that. And then to kind of blend that black into my skin, I went in with this shade Optimistic, and I went all around the smoky eye, and I kind of used it to blend into the silver shade on my lid as well. And then here's where the look maybe went a little over the top, but it's hard to resist. I went in with New Era, that black shade, and I put some lining under my eyes, and I probably went a little too far and did a little too much because I think it is a lot. But I tried to blend in with this Optimistic shade. I really feel like I just ended up with a lot of color down there that I wasn't aiming for. But it doesn't necessarily look that bad, so I think I'm okay. Now, as far as usability, I have to say the mattes were good. I used New Era and Optimistic, as I said, and those blended really well. They were pretty typical ColourPop matte quality, which I find is really good. It's not a Blend Bunny good, but it's very good for the price that you're paying for ColourPop, especially if you're getting a sale. 999 was a nice shimmer, but I found that Lucky Stars and Bright Side were a little bit more on the drier side, which was what I had encountered in the last ColourPop palette that I reviewed, and I was a little bummed about. So I was kind of hoping that would not be the case in this one, but unfortunately those two were a little drier. I want to go ahead right now and just swatch all of the shimmers, and then we'll see how the rest of them are performing. All right, so I'm going to start with the shade Bright Side. And that shade might even be more of a topper. Like, I feel like it's not coming out very strongly. Okay, and now we'll go in with Lucky Stars. And that one, as you can see, it starts off really bright, but it peters out there at the end, which I think is a symptom of these drier shadows. It's just harder to pick up as much and get as much coverage. Okay, let's try 999. Yeah, this one definitely picks up more color. So for me, the big difference between these two is that 999 is just a little bit easier to pick up, and so it packs on more shadow. I'm gonna go in more. Let's go in more with Lucky Stars and see if we can build it up a little bit. Yeah, see how when it builds up, it's just really, really similar. They're not exactly the same as a swatch on my arm, but on the lid, they really did appear pretty much exactly the same. Okay, let's try this shade Keep Shining. Okay, and this shade it picked up pretty well as well. Oh man, it's got decent coverage. Like a lot of dark shadows, I feel like those are really hard to get really, really good coverage with one swipe. But that one is nice. It's like a dark pewter, almost like a gunmetal gray. I like this one. Okay, this is called You Got This. I think this is the darkest shimmer of the palette. This is pretty much looking like it's going to be kind of a black shimmer. Okay, this is an interesting shade. It's almost not as dark as the shade that we swatched before, but it is less shimmery. There's like a lot of matte black in there, which could be really neat depending on the look that you're going for, what you wanted to use it for. And I just want to swatch this shade, Silver Skies. This is a matte, but like I said, it has some shimmer in it, and I think it's fun to see what those end up looking like. Yeah, this one does not have a lot of shimmer, but it's really pretty. I could see using that in a look for sure. It's like a nice medium gray too, between the other tones in the palette. It's nice and different. Okay, so now that we've swatched the palettes, I'm gonna say I was impressed with 999 and Keep Shining. Those were pretty good, typical ColourPop nice shimmers. You Got This was not really, but I almost think that it is kind of a matte shimmer, even though it looks so shimmery in the pan. And maybe that's kind of what's going on. Maybe these shimmers, they've just put like a little bit more of whatever the matte ingredient is in there, and that's why they're drier and they're just not like spreading as well. I don't know. I have never made my own makeup, so I don't have any idea what the formula would be like. But it does feel drier than typical, and I feel like it doesn't give as much color payoff, which is kind of a bummer. I'm also a little disappointed by the similarity of the shades. I feel like it is harder to do a monochromatic gray palette than it is to do other monochromatic palettes, just because getting different like values and making them look really different from each other, I think is harder with gray, because we just don't pick up those minute differences the way that we do in like colorful colors. So they kind of set themselves a big challenge here. But I feel like that it could have been a 4 or 5 pan palette really easily, and that would have been really nice and covered a lot of ground in the color. But for a 9 pan palette, it's just a little bit too repetitive. These shades were just too similar. This was, I don't know, it would have been nice to have a nice dark black shimmer. This, I don't know, it's just like a midway point between this shimmer and this matte, and it's like if I wanted to do that, I could just put this shimmer over this matte. So I'm not really sure what they were trying to do with that shade either. So all in all, it's not a bad palette for sure, and at ColourPop prices, I think it can totally be worth it, especially if you're interested in doing a lot of work with like gray tones, black and white kind of monochromatic looks. I'm still happy that I have it because I love doing monochromatic looks. So even though there's not a lot of differences between some of the shades, I probably will end up using them quite a bit either way. But those are my thoughts on the new ColourPop Silver Lining palette. If you already have a palette that's got blacks and whites and maybe a gray or two or some silvers, it's probably not worth it to pick up an additional one. This is doing nothing new or special or different or exciting, but I think it could be a nice workhorse if really all you want is silvers and some blacks. So those are my thoughts on the ColourPop Silver Lining palette. If you have any questions or comments or thoughts about ColourPop's new formula, please do go ahead and say something down in the comments below because I would love to hear from you. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.